Today, we are breaking down the 2026 NFL mock draft done by Sports Illustrated. Let's get right into this. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Below my face is my board. With the number one overall pick, the New Orleans Saints go Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. By the way, with my board, if there's an asterisk, that's a player who's designated to fall with reevaluation. If you guys want to see all 290 plus of them, go check out the Patreon. It's a full breakdown, full big board, as well as breaking down all the rookies each week that I think are doing really well, doing really poorly, as well as college guys who are boosting their stock, dropping their stock. Feel free to go check that out. Bonus videos as well. $5 a month, building an amazing community there. So, so far you guys have been extremely supportive, and I want to reward y'all for doing that. And thank you guys anyways. For those of y'all who haven't done it, I still love you anyways. Of course, this is my number one focus, but I do want to reward those who want to reward me even more. Number one, we got the Saints, though, going that Fernando Mendoza route. He is a damn good quarterback. I'm excited to see, if he continues his stock up. His game versus Iowa, I think, was a little bit sloppy. Just going to be a hot take there. He's my QB3 right now, unless Mateer ends up having to redshirt for injury, which then he'd be my QB2. I still believe LaNorris Sellers. Mendoza, I do think, again, he had a really great game versus Illinois. And then I do think there were some sloppy elements there versus Iowa that I want to see him clean up, which I believe he will. He came into the year for me as a QB3. So I am a believer in Mendoza, the Cuban Missile himself. For the Saints, I do think that it would be very likely if they go the quarterback route, Fernando would be their number one selection. And number two, the Jets go Dante Moore, quarterback out of Oregon. Dude looks good with the green helmet as it is. I could see him doing the same for the Jets. He is also red hot. Redshirt sophomore, doing a fantastic job so far. Really like what Dante Moore has put out in terms of the production. At number three, we have the Tennessee Titans going Ruben Bain, edge rusher out of Miami. This is just a pick that I've been making pretty much all the time for Tennessee, unless I wanted to throw a curveball here and there and go after someone like Jordan Tyson. The best thing about the Titans is unless Bain and Tyson get taken before their pick, they're in a prime spot to get an amazing impact player on either side of the ball. So Ruben Bain, a fantastic edge rusher, a little bit athletically limited in terms of the arm length, and then just the overall athleticism is good, not amazing. I think that could limit what he is in terms of ceiling, but the floor is fantastic. And again, consistency and dominance come with Ruben Bain, just maybe not in terms of he might end up being more of a pressure guy rather than, or maybe a blue collar sack guy than a white collar. Is that the case? White collar sack, which basically means he's more of an effort guy based on the timing of plays. I don't know if he has the athleticism to win that quickly, but he's still a fantastic player. Just such a nitpick. He's an amazing, amazing edge rusher. Very good pick at number three. Cleveland Browns go LaNorris Sellers, quarterback out of South Carolina, at number four. I do want to say this. People who say the quarterback class is disappointing. No, it's not. I hate to say it. We saw last year, there's a lot less talent than in this year's class. Maybe we're just seeing early in the year. We got to see how these guys develop and continue progressing. But LaNorris Sellers is a top tier quarterback. He's had his struggles. There's been some injury bugs, but he has still had fantastic highlight reels. And that shows that he's still the player that we know. We just want to see the consistency, which is a big part of the quarterback position. LaNorris is a fantastic quarterback, just built in a way that nobody else is. And it's not Anthony Richardson-esque. Anthony has horrible mechanics. When he came out, he had no experience. LaNorris will have more experience and better mechanics, and I think that will help out his game a bit more. Number five, the Dolphins go Jermod McCoy, corner out of Tennessee. I do like this little caveat here because that's the big thing. We'll see if he returns to the actual full health self that he is. ACL tears are kind of a dime a dozen now. It's a much less career-altering injury. But at the same time, with pretty much going to be half a season at most of resume, it is a little bit tough to say you're going to take it at number five because he wasn't really on that level. Number five overall level. I think maybe he was definitely going to be pushing for the first round. But certainly some aspects to his game that half a season might not be able to make NFL teams feel comfortable. And since he's so young, I do think he should return anyways. At number six, the Ravens go TJ Parker. I do not want to have my video demonetized. I assume this is based on current records. So the Ravens somehow being up here won't last. But TJ Parker, edge rusher out of Clemson. I really like TJ. This is somebody that I've come around to, and I think he's done much better this year than anybody else has given him credit for. I think that the IQ still is a little bit lacking, but he's continued to work and polish. Somebody ended up bringing up that during some of his interviews, he looks like he's not necessarily the best like locker room guy in terms of the amount of effort he puts in. If I'm just going to be honest, I don't do enough digging into that at this point of the year. But what I have done is look at how TJ Parker plays, especially when the ball's not going directly his way or anything like that. I haven't seen him jogging. That's my number one telltale sign. Like, are you actually putting effort even when you're not the primary defender? There are players in this class that will not run if the ball is more than 3 yards away from them. TJ Parker's not that. But regardless, I do still have certain players. Malachi Lawrence, obviously, is my little Pookie Bear. He's not going to be in consideration for this at all, even though I believe in him. I obviously am very cognizant of the fact that maybe not so much at this point. LT Overton, I do have a little bit of a lower opinion of the edge class. Like TJ Parker is tied at number 35 for me. I actually ended up regrading. Where the hell is he at? Damn. There's no way I dropped him down this low. Where the hell is my guy? Regardless, I probably put a DL by his name, so I can't even see where's Auburn. But regardless, I think I'm tripping right now. But Keldrick Falk, there he is. I'm tripping. I just ended up seeing his name right here. Keldrick Falk at number 36 on my board. I do think he actually dropped on reevaluation. But regardless, I do think that the top end talent is a little bit but it's still very good players. TJ Parker in that mix. But number 7, we got the Las Vegas Raiders going Jordan Tyson, wide receiver at Arizona State. The one team that literally doesn't need him. Just going to be honest. Let's do a little bit of a temperature check. Because Myers, they already have his replacement in Besh. Thornton, as long as Geno doesn't throw the ball at his toes, it's going to be good. And then Tucker, solid. I mean, Bowers, great. This is just one of the teams where I don't see a reason to draft a wide receiver, even as good as Jordan Tyson. You do have Spencer Fano there. You have John Mateer there. I don't think there's much of an excuse to go after Tyson. 8, Panthers go Caleb Downs. I mean, hell, you could have went Caleb Downs for the Raiders too. But regardless, Panthers end up sniping the best player in the class. That's all I need to say about it. He is the top player in the class. Just rock solid. Someone that you just don't need to ask whether they're going to work out or not. I mean, knock on wood. I mean, it's half of the time that ends up being an absolute shit show. But Caleb Downs has been consistent since his true freshman year. I highly doubt that will change. Jazz go Spencer Fano, right tackle out of Utah. Once again, I am not getting my show demonetized for some bullshit. I have an ad blocker too. These bastards know their ways around the ad blockers. But Illuminor could still be viable for a couple of years. I don't think, because I used to be instantly Spencer Fano. I don't think you need to press the Spencer Fano card that quickly. Do I think it's a bad investment? No. I don't think that you'd end up netting negative because you can start on the interior if you need to as well. There's just not a necessity for him. But going after the best right tackle in the class that's very, very thin at tackle, smart. At number 10, we got the Texans going Peter Woods, defensive interior out of Clemson. This is the best case scenario that they could hope for. I'm a huge fan of that move for the Texans. They still patch together very well at the defensive interior position, but I honestly don't care. Peter Woods, fantastic selection there. Number 11, we got the Cowboys going Keldrick Falk, edge rusher out of Auburn. I do think that he is a little less spectacular, but the whole entire point of getting Keldrick Falk for the Cowboys is very similar to Tyler Booker. Maybe the value doesn't line up with this, but the just floor value, where you don't have to really worry about, I think Keldrick's an edge 2 in the NFL. But you don't really need to worry about Keldrick not being being put on the field. And that's a spot where the Dallas Cowboys don't really have that luxury at the moment. So it is just getting consistency. And again, I don't think Keldrick is the number 11 player in the class, but I still think that the floor is sometimes worth taking the shot on. Number 12, the Patriots go Mateo Uiagalelei, edge rusher out of Oregon. He's been on a hot streak, which is great. But I do want to see a little more consistency, especially versus the run. Once again, Penn State got absolutely eviscerated today by UCLA. I want to see when PFF finalizes those figures, how it ends up looking for the pressures and all that. We'll see how the offensive line ended up holding up. But my big issue is that people are kind of over it once again, dude. Sports Illustrated, man. I know you got to get some money somehow because obviously these mock drafts definitely don't have the quality to generate a lot of people coming in here, but still, regardless, Mateo, I understand the edge rusher position. I understand a lot of people are very high on Mateo right now. I just personally am not there yet. At number 13, you got the Denver Broncos going Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver at USC. He is arguably the best wide receiver in college right now. Carnell Tate's giving him a lot of trouble for that. Jordan Tyson. But regardless, this wide receiver class flourished. And that's fantastic. Because Carnell was still kind of that guy who's always been like kind of like a wide receiver 3. And then, Jordan ended up having health concerns, and knock on wood, that doesn't come back up. Mekhi still was more that underrated target. Jacoby Lane, the top guy mentioned there at USC. And we're just seeing these guys. Chris Bell, literally nobody talked about until I ended up seeing, I think it was Dane Brugler talk about him. And then I graded him, and he ended up being my wide receiver too. So, shout out to, I believe it was Dane Brugler. I apologize if I'm giving credit to the wrong person, but regardless, fantastic progression from this wide receiver class. Denzel Boston, I honestly thought that he was a little bit gimmicky, and then he's just improved so much as a route runner over the offseason. Reminds me a lot of how Tetairoa McMillan ended up progressing as a route runner over his final offseason before he came out. So huge fan of what this class has done in that regard. But at the same time, Mekhi Lemon balling out. I don't think wide receivers off the table for the Broncos. 14, the Rams via the Falcons go CeCe Mauigoa, right tackle out of Miami. I need to see how he ends up performing over the year. Some guys can end up working with those guard length arms, but for me, I saw a lot of issues with Francis's game that did not solely pertain to his arm length, but I did see it pop up so much that it makes me extremely concerned as to whether he can play tackle in the NFL. And I'm Mr. Caleb Tiernan at number 3. I'm the last guy who's going to say you literally cannot play tackle just because of your arm length. It's how you use it. It's not the motion of the ocean. Or, no, it is the motion of the ocean. Not the size of the wave. It's the motion of, I don't know what the fuck the phrase is. Broshmo knows that phrase better than I do for other reasons. But all love. But he's the one who's always said that phrase to me. But is it the size of the ship with the motion? I don't even understand the phrase, man. I'm like in that awkward point right before the unction to where I need a little bit more seasoning to understand the dad jokes. And then I'm a little bit too old to be hip. So, or whatever the fuck people call it nowadays. My sister's old as shit too, so she'll end up saying words like that. Don't blame me. I'm semi-antisocial. But regardless, CeCe, I would end up saying he doesn't use his arm length well, gets into trouble for reasons that I think would be mitigated at guard. So that's why I have him more as a guard than tackle. If you believe in him as a tackle, I understand the logic. 15, the Bears go Jeremiah Love. Old but gold pick. I've kind of steered away from it, but with Alvin Kamara news coming back out where the Bears might be a team that's interested, definitely seems like a team that would be looking at a style of Jeremiah Love. Unless they end up making a move for that veteran. 16, the Commanders go Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Honestly, I don't understand why the Broncos in retrospect would go after Lemon over Sadiq. At the same time, I technically have them graded pretty much the exact same. I just think Kenyon Sadiq is by far and away the tight end 1 of the class. There's other options at wide receiver, but amazing move for the Commanders. We'll see what happens in terms of, I'm praying Jaden Daniels is healthy enough. He's wearing a knee brace and shit. Do not RG3 this shit. Do not do that. I'm praying to God that the Commanders are not rushing him back because you just can't do that. So I'm praying that Jaden Daniels is actually healthy enough to play. But if he is and everything's looking good, Kenyon Sadiq's going to be an amazing option. 17, you got the Cardinals going Caleb Banks, defensive interior out of Florida. We just need to see the health, man. Just need to see the health. But at the same time, I also don't think the Cardinals should be going after defensive interior again in the first. Arvell Reese is just like the king for me for this team. I've really come around to him being a true Mike, or actually I think of him more as a Sam linebacker because I love the blitzing aspect that he can have. He can literally set the edge. Like he's a hybrid edge at linebacker, but super flexible. If you can make it work, he's going to be a superstar. That's probably my pick for him going forward. Besides that, I think Chris Bell, with the way that he's had over 10 catches in the past 2 weeks, he's been balling out, would be a really fun option. Casey Concepcion as well has been a common round 2 target for me for the Cardinals. 18, you got the Minnesota Vikings doing Avion Terrell, corner out of Clemson. Again, it makes sense. This is literally going to be their Isaiah Rodgers. And he plays with the physicality that you would be looking for this defense. I think he's an amazing fit. Just feels old but gold. But again, there's nothing wrong with old but gold. It's also old and we're in freaking the beginning of October, all right? We have like 6 more months of this shit. More. Like 6.5 months. That's crazy. And I'm so excited that I get to share that with y'all. Finally, the views are kicking back in. The vibes are good. I don't feel bad for screwing sponsors when they're trying to expect 10,000 views and, they're not getting that. But, grand total, they'll have the right amount of exposure, and I'm happy for that. But regardless, Minnesota Vikings, good pick up there. 19, you got the Bengals going Caden Proctor, tackle out of Alabama. He's had one good week, guys. Like, let's pipe it down. We got to see how he ended up performing today in a nail biter versus Vandy, but Vandy doesn't have top tier edge rushing. So even if I need to see it versus good players, Georgia hasn't produced pressure against anybody, and they haven't used my Pookie Bear Elo Mo Dozier from Army. They use him for like 10 reps a game. It's like your defense is shit. I'm not talking to Alabama. I'm talking to Georgia right now. Your edge rushing core is garbage for pass rush. You need to test out the guy who looks built perfectly for what you want to do. And yes, see him in practice and stuff. I'm just telling you, the game shit isn't working. What's the downside? Like Caden Proctor's not allowing a pressure. That's how you know you need to change it up. But regardless, some people think Caden should be a guard. I'm not even going to get into that category yet, but if I'm going to be the Bengals, I'm going for floor, not ceiling. That's my biggest goal. At number 20, the Chiefs go Romello Height, edge rusher at Texas Tech. I don't believe, what's Romello's weight? You know what? We're going to do this live. I never do this because you guys get to see all this other fun stuff. Hopefully I don't have anything inappropriate there. But Romello Height, we're going to look this up together. If you guys are still a part of this, 6'3", 2'4". I knew for a damn fact this guy's a DPR. Does not fit at all with Spag's defense. And this is something like, for me, I've always focused on like, look at the talent and be able to appreciate the talents that are good. And the area that I've sometimes struggled is like, as we see these defensive coordinators change their tactics or new guys end up coming to the fold, like sometimes I can be a little bit behind on that, which is why I love you guys so much. Let me know, hey, by the way, like for Dennis Allen, I knew he liked guys that are 260 plus, but he likes guys who are 6'5 plus. Like there's little aspects to that stuff that ends up being able to, continue to shave away at those imperfections and how I'm trying to, at least the logical imperfections. I'm not going to say I'm ever going to get perfect, but at least we can end up getting to a point where logically things start to make more sense. And it's all thanks to you guys. This is a perfect example. If I saw this without understanding Spag's defense, like Romello has been balling out, amazing pass rusher, and this team needs a quick win specialist. Doesn't add up to what they normally go for. So with Romello also being garbage against the run, essentially, I would just say no. 21, the Cowboys go, I'm not doing it. I see that advertising sign. Ain't happening. Cowboys going Mansour to lane corner out of LSU. Would love to see how they handle the money of this situation, but Mansour is well worth that selection. I mean, he's due for an update. His grade is still lingering from last year, but super excited to see how he ends up finally grading out, because he's been exactly what I was hoping for him transitioning from Virginia Tech to LSU. Browns end up going Cleveland. Browns go Cleveland. Exactly. Browns go Isaiah World, tackle out of Oregon at 22. Isaiah still has so much to work on. His transition has taken longer than expected, kind of the opposite of Mansour to Lane. I was really excited to see it. And then same thing with Harkey. Harkey has been a little bit more consistent. Just, I do think that maybe the talent's a little lower than World, which, to me makes sense. If you look at my board, it's the exact same thing. But the Browns need to invest in offensive line, weaponry. Like, the offense needs help. So I'm perfectly fine with this route. At 23, the Seahawks go A.J. Harris, quarterback out of Penn State. Got to see what happened today in terms of the stats, but I am not an A.J. Harris guy. I like the idea of corner for Seattle. I would just prefer to go after my number 21 player currently, Keith Abney, out of Arizona State. At 24, we got the Rams going Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback out of LSU. The ceiling is there, and the Rams are also relatively arrogant, which we love them for. But if they like Garrett Nussmeier, they're going to go Garrett Nussmeier. I'd prefer by a huge margin John Mateer, but again, I don't know if he's even included in this. Regardless, if he's not, Garrett Nussmeier in terms of the high-level throws could end up making sense. I don't think he has the arm that ends up making it work in this offense. So I prefer somebody with a little bit more zip to their arm. And, I'm not a huge guy for the quarterbacks in this class, but I still think that they're very good. It's just Mateer is just my guy for this team. Like I am just head over heels for Rams and Mateer marriage, so to speak. But yeah, I just think that the arm strength doesn't work very much. But the Rams lock in on Nussmeier and say it's our guy. They're going to go for it. 25, you got the Buccaneers going Anthony Hill, junior linebacker out of Texas. Could totally see Bulls falling in love with the potential of Anthony Hill. Was surprised he didn't go Jahad Campbell last year. That still perplexes me, but they made the right decision. Emeka's been fantastic. Like going best player available just doesn't fail. Like 99% of the time, it usually yields the best results. But at the same time, what's better, Emeka or Jahad? I don't think you can say a definitive answer, right? Like Jahad would end up being fantastic on the Buccaneers. Emeka's been fantastic. You can't go wrong. It's kind of like do you want ice cream or do you want ice cream with like pink? Well, what about rainbow? Let's not go pink here. Do you want ice cream with rainbow sprinkles or do you want it with, brown sprinkles? It's like, who gives a shit? At the same time, all it is just mediocrely flavored sticks of sugar. Like, both are going to yield the same result pretty much. And that's how I'd kind of feel with that. So Anthony Hill Jr., I could understand it. I just personally don't believe in him as much as maybe some other people do. At 26, the Colts go Christian Miller, defensive interior out of Georgia. It's a pick I make. I fully support it. Needs to improve his consistency big time. But when he hits, this dude is an absolute winner, like a dominator. So 27, the Steelers go John Mateer. So yeah, that's where I would have ended up saying, definitely put him with the Rams. As much as I love this, as a Steelers fan, I would think this is the best fit for the Steelers, but I'm just not ready to, put my foot down and say that's what I should do or what I would want to do. 28, it's not what I would do if I were doing this mock draft. So if Mateer were taken, Nussmeier would probably be the option, but I'd probably just try to wait. I know it's going to piss people off to say that, but forcing a quarterback is never a good idea. I don't have enough faith in Nuss at the moment with how his decision-making has regressed. So I'll just leave it there. Lions go Connor Lew. It feels like written in stone if he's there at the end of the first. Ragnow's loss has been huge. I was hoping that would translate more towards Laporta production. As a Laporta early in the drafter, it is not. I was really hoping, rolled the dice on it and failed. But this team definitely needs to reestablish that top-tier center. 29, the Chargers go Caden McDonald, defensive interior at Ohio State. They need a plug. Puna leaving is devastating. Caden has been fantastic for Ohio State. Very happy to have fallen in love with him in the preseason process. 30, you got the Niners going Cardinal Tate, wide receiver at Ohio State. He's going to go higher than this if he continues to have remotely the same type of production he did today. Obviously, this was made like yesterday or the day before, but Cardinal has been dominating. He's been doing a fantastic job. Again, this wide receiver class is proving to almost be all-time. I know, it's crazy to say that, ballsy to say that, but think about it. Once again, Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston. You can throw in Chris Bell. Let's see, who else? Casey Concepcion. I'm talking about guys who I would consider in the first. If he continues, CJ Daniels, somebody who I had right outside of my top 32. And who else? I love Chase Roberts. He's not getting drafted in that range. That's not realistic. Greyhouse has been ass. So, that's probably about it. Antonio Williams, if he ends up boosting his consistency. Jeremy Bernard. You want a consistent late first? I'm not going to toss him in there. He feels like an early second type of guy. But still, for the sake of argument, this class is super loaded. And I was kind of hot and cold on that generational class with like the Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., 2024 class. I was hot and cold on that because there were guys like Jalen Polk I didn't love, Xavier Leggett didn't love. So I'm saying this class in terms of players that I believe in is extremely talented. So I really think that we need to start evaluating this class on a different level for wide receiver talent. Regardless, the Niners going after Carnell Tate is a solid move because the value is impeccable. 31, you got the Bills going Sonny Styles. Can't go wrong. Dylan Thieneman, Sonny Styles. Make up your mind. Either way, you're happy. And at 32, the Eagles make a great pick here. Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee. I don't think the Eagles, the way they're playing right now, internal drama and stuff, they're going to end up being here. But Colton Hood, in terms of the zone IQ, physicality, and just the way he was actually able to handle himself in man coverage last year as well, I think he translates perfectly to the Eagles. A real dark horse candidate if the Eagles start having some struggles and maybe end up in the early 20 range, could end up being a really, really good popular fit for them going forward. But that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching, showing the love you always do. Rookie Watch probably won't be out tomorrow. My mom is coming to town, so hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. I'll try my best, but no promises. Love you. See you later. Peace.